As Keir Starmer calls the £85 billion reform spending spree a Liz Truss-style fantasy, and even supporters claim that Nigel Farage's figures don't add up, he is facing criticism over the bill. Today, after announcing proposals for a £85 billion spending spree should reform take office, Nigel Farage is once again under scrutiny for reform's financial knowledge. Hello viewers, welcome to UK Pancakes. If you're new here, please don't forget to subscribe and click the notifications bell so you don't miss any insides about UK elites. Keir Starmer will attack Nigel Farage, the head of the Reform UK party, for advocating for fantasy tax and spending policies that would cause an economic catastrophe reminiscent of Liz Truss. The Prime Minister will argue that reform poses a threat to the financial markets and will increase mortgage prices for millions of families as part of a counteroffensive against Farage's efforts to win over working-class voters with big pledges on taxes and benefits. Sir Keir Starmer will use a speech this morning to denounce a fantasy set of policies that will result in a market collapse akin to Liz Truss. Among other things, Mr. Farage announced in a significant speech yesterday that he would abolish the two-child benefit limit, restore winter fuel payments completely, and increase the tax-free income allowance to £20,000. In order to make marriage more affordable, incentivize it, and encourage people to have more children, he also promised a marriage tax allowance that would be transferable if his party won the next election. As the Mail disclosed, it would exclude one spouse from paying any tax on the first £25,000 of their income. However, experts estimated that it could cost up to £85 billion, which is far more than the £45 billion in unfunded tax cuts that former Tory Prime Minister Liz Truss announced in her disastrous 2022 mini-budget. The price of the package unveiled by Mr. Farage, who is now in Las Vegas giving a speech at a Bitcoin conference, even made reform supporters raise an eyebrow. The sums don't add up, stated Tim Montgomery, the founder of the political website Con Home. Sir Keir is anticipated to call Mr. Farage's policies a mad experiment during a trip to the Northwest to speak with employees at a manufacturing company. He will state, "In opposition we said Liz Truss would crash the economy and leave you to pick the bill. We were correct. And we were elected to clean up that mess." From Nigel Farage, "We are now battling the same delusion in government. Liz Truss made the same wager as Farage. That you may devote tens of billions on tax cuts without a fair mechanism for funding them. And just like Truss, his wagering your family's money, mortgage, and bills as a gamble in his insane experiment. The outcome will be the same. The promises were credible and could be funded by abandoning the net zero program, which, according to Mr. Farage, was costing £45 billion annually. By deporting asylum seekers rather than providing them with accommodation, he claimed that an additional £4 billion might be saved annually, and by ending the public sector's diversity, equity, and inclusion campaign, £7 billion could be saved. By reducing Quango bureaucracy by 5% over 5 years, he continued, an additional £65 billion might be saved, resulting in an average annual savings of £69 billion. However, increasing the income tax threshold's base rate to £20,000 might cost as much as £80 billion on its own, according to experts. Currently, employees pay a 20% income tax rate on all earnings between £12,570 and £50,270. Reinstating the winter fuel subsidy would cost £1.5 billion, and raising the two-child benefit limit would cost an additional £3.5 billion. Since reform garnered 4 million votes and 5 seats in July, the eagerly awaited address was the most policy-oriented. When asked if he had a magic money tree, Mr. Farage acknowledged that his figures were slightly optimistic, but then he said, "We can't afford net zero, it's destroying the country. We can't afford DEI, it's actually preventing many talented people from succeeding, and we certainly can't afford young undocumented males crossing the English Channel and living in 5-star hotels." You can argue about numbers adding up. You could probably claim that the math has never made sense to anybody throughout the history of any type of government. Because of the billions in unfunded commitments, the package was labeled last night by the Conservatives as fantasy economics and Corbynism in a different color. The policies lacked credibility, according to top economists, because Farage's spending promises far exceeded any cost reductions he intended to bring. Farage, who stated his party is coming for Labour in order to win over the party's traditional working-class voters, said that if elected, he would abolish a two-child cap on benefits and raise winter fuel payments for retirees. The Institute for Fiscal Studies has calculated that reforms plans for drastic tax reductions would create a significant hole in the government's finances. Increasing just the tax-free personal allowance would cost £80 billion. Farage has promised to increase income to pay for his spending initiatives by cutting departmental budgets and making additional welfare reductions. Citing Institute for Government Statistics, he has also pledged to abolish the government's pledge to achieve net zero emissions by 2050, which he claims will save £45 billion annually. But, according to Jill Rutter, a senior fellow at the Institute, Farage utilized a number that covered both public and commercial sector investment. The majority of investment in energy infrastructure will come from the private sector, but closing private sector projects will not generate income for the government, she stated. Although Farage acknowledged that his calculations might not be accurate, he maintained on Tuesday that they provided an idea of direction, policy, of priorities, of what we think is important, of what we think it is going to cost. Over the choices made by Rachel Reeves to means-test winter fuel payments for seniors and reduce support for disability and incapacity, Labour has experienced significant public opposition and internal conflict. Due to the precarious economic legacy left by the Conservatives and the need to comply with the fiscal restrictions she has placed on herself in light of the condition of the public finances, the Chancellor has stated that the measures are essential. Thanks for watching till the end. Drop your thoughts in the comments section. We hope to see you in our next UK Pancakes.